Hi guys, today I'm going to share my no pressure sketchbook with you. I'm not done with it yet and I'm super excited. It has a lot of pages left, but I just cannot wait and I want to show you what I've been doing in it. It's really cheap paper, so I'm not being precious with it at all, and I'm using all kind of media from oil pastels to acrylic paint, and I hope this inspires you to paint as well. Welcome to a new sketchbook tour. This sketchbook is actually not finished yet, but I'm not sure when I will finish it because there's just too many pages in there. It's really experimental and very pretty much abstract and mixed media, and I hope you will enjoy watching what I've got there. And this is the first page, which is just like the cover, and this was done not recent ago. I just thought I want to really fill up all the pages, so I just made this fun little doodle. And also this one was also made not so recently. I was playing with watercolors or maybe acrylic ink. Yeah, maybe that was acrylic ink, but I used it in a watercolor way. And this is one of my all-time most favorite spreads of this sketchbook. I really love the layering in here and all the details, and I really pushed this spread to its limits, and I'm loving the color scheme and especially this very bold blue stroke of this indigo color. And what do we have next? This one is also a favorite of mine. I really loved making this vase, and I know it's not really primarily abstract, but I worked in an abstract way using all kind of materials from oil pastels to acrylic, and I really enjoy the color palette and all the mix of colors in here. This is one of my all-time favorite spreads. I wish I had it as a painting that I could have hang on my wall. This was just an experiment playing around with color. I was trying to build up some movement, and I even wrote that this is the wind. This one is very cheerful and colorful, and I feel like this was me being happy about summer or spring, and I just wanted to paint all these beautiful flowers and all the green in here. It's really joyful, and I like how free and crazy it is, and love all the splatters. Next up, what do we have here? I always love working in the way that I create a very busy kind of background layer with all the marks and textures, and then I just fill things up to create these isolated shapes. And I'm really loving this very bright contrast in here. This one was featured in one of my studio vlogs. I really loved making this abstract seascape. I'm loving the sky in here, how crazy it is, so textured and layered, and I'm also loving this texture that I made with a hair comb. It's really nice to touch. Next up we have this craziness, which is also featured in another studio vlog of mine. I was playing with a limited color palette, and I feel like I've used too many colors, and I mixed them all together, and I really tried to make harmony, and I feel like this is still pretty too crazy for my liking. And then I was inspired by Louis Fletcher and tried to work in a different way where I'm not filling up all the page and I'm just concentrating in the middle, and I really enjoyed this way of painting, and I'm loving this very calm, natural color palette. And then we have this. This was inspired by a favorite artist of mine, my artist crush that I shared in my previous vlog. Her name is Sandra, if I'm not mistaking anything, and she is using this dotted texture in her works, and this is what I tried to add a little bit in here. I do enjoy, again, working in a way that I'm making a super crazy background and then just shaping it with a different color. This is how these fishes were made. Then this thing happened and I wasn't happy about it until I pushed it to its limits. And now I'm really super excited about this. It looks very busy and very colorful and yet very harmonious, like a carnival of joy. And it even has some shiny paint in here. These are my boulders. I also have them in another studio vlog where you can see me making them. This was originally layered with some abstract collage papers, and then I worked on top with some pastel knives and oil pastels and everything, and I'm really enjoying this kind of realistic stone feel to these shapes. They do feel like real stones to me. Then this happened. I'm not sure if I really love this spread, but it's kind of okay. I'm loving the mix of colors and the way I made these small marks with oil pastels. This feels pretty too pink and too purple. I'm not really loving to use pink and purple together, but somehow I always come up to this color palette and I'm not sure why. I love this much better than the previous one. This is when I got my new art supplies, my tape, masking tape, and my tissue paper, and I was super excited to use it. I also used some of my stencils in here, if you look closer. And this is also one of my favorite spreads and means of color and the techniques I used. Also loving this again. Using stencils, this is done with some thick paint or texture paste, so you can really touch the texture in here. Loving the vibrancy of this spread. This was a crazy joyful pink madness with all the circles, and I felt like it didn't work for a while and I wanted to cover things up because it was too busy, but I end up really liking it as it is. Here I was trying to experiment with the masking tape to create these isolated paintings with a border, and I tried to play on 2 pages at the same time to create a different composition. Overall, really happy about how it turned out. Again, isolating different compositions. Love this very calm color palette. And here I was playing with texture to create these boulder-like, stone-like shapes. It was at the same time that I was working on my large painting of a similar kind. Really loving this. Really loved using black as a background. Again, playing with these shapes. I guess I'm obsessed with this stone kind of shapes. I'm not sure if I like this spread. I guess I wasn't feeling good enough about my painting practice that day, but it's kind of fun. Enjoyed working with this color palette, the greens and the oranges, especially love these dots. And I also made this cute face on another page, just to play around with these colors once more. Then I turned to black and white. I was inspired by another artist and it was fun. She has a lot of these drawings in just black and white, and I thought I would try something like this. This is very, very joyful. I hated it all the way until I added this really fun border with all the colors that I used in here, and now I'm super excited about this spread. I think it's super fun. Again, playing around with different patterns and lines. Really excited about this pattern I used on black right here. I think this is the most exciting thing of all this spread. Again, having fun with my colors. Really nature-like summery color palette. Again, playing with boulder shapes, with stone shapes. I think I could go on with this subject forever, really enjoying it. I tried different mediums in here, pencils, acrylic pens, paint, watercolor even maybe. This is solely watercolor. I just wanted to experiment, like, where can I push this kids watercolor that I have, and I'm really loving the effects that it gives, like you cannot control it fully. I was just angry and I wanted to draw with my crayons, and then I made these shapes. This is a really cool experiment. It wasn't working and I was covering things up and then bringing things back, and eventually I kind of love it. I love how I used this black ink in here. Again, playing with watercolor, nothing fancy, just trying this medium. Again, going back to the shapes and patterns. Experimenting with watercolor again. Really enjoy this face. This is one of the things that I love. I often love to work in a way that I create many lines. I have some paintings like that that are now exhibited in a wine bar in the city center, and yeah, I'm really enjoying doing these fine lines and thicker lines and just mixing all kinds of lines, and also loving this color palette. This background color is one of my most favorite in my color palette. Again, trying to shape things with masking tape, really enjoying this pattern. It was all very experimental and I think I succeeded. I wanted to try to play on a darker background. It was fun. Again, very natural color palette. Loving all the greens in here. Really excited about this spread. This was also a fun doodle that I was just making with my ink pen, and then I wanted to add a background to make it more interesting. I'm really loving this orange color that I have, and I just wanted to play with it in here also. Again, one of my favorite spreads. Here I was experimenting with a monochrome color palette and just playing with a single color to see how I can water it down and use it in a different way, and I'm really loving how this girl turned out. I guess I was feeling sad and lonely, you can tell. Experimenting with new paint. I had that in my another studio vlog. I just bought some paint on AliExpress and I just wanted to play around to see what it does. Really loving this one. This was super fun. I just felt like playing with the green color and it all happened really intuitively, and I'm loving this kind of desert cactus green madness. Again, playing with my favorite lines, using the similar color palette that I had in other pages. Really loved creating this beautiful background texture with just a marker. I was just layering a marker one stroke after another, and it created this beautiful stripy pattern that I decided to play around with. My favorite orange color. Really love this pattern. Really like this girl. Super fun to make. Excited about it. Not so excited about this. I guess I was just trying to free up my mind and just played intuitively without any thoughts, and this kind of pebble thing happened. I don't know, pebbles on a string, but overall not bad. I'm loving some of the things in here. Really loving this one. Again, it wasn't working at first, but then I decided to play with this black ink that I've got, and I really liked the effects that the ink was giving me with these uneven brush strokes and uneven paint layering. Again, added my favorite lines. I just wanted to play with isolating shapes again, and I really wanted to use some bright and really dark colors to make this starry sky. This was a really calm vibe. I was playing a lot with oil pastels in here. I just wanted to make this with acrylic and then make something similar using oil pastels, and I'm really enjoying these kind of shapes. Again, another fun experiment. Really loved this. I guess I was inspired by some other artists that applied paint in a way of adding many marks. And so I decided to try that too. Again, playing with boulder stone kind of shapes. Really loving this. I was using my black ink and some acrylic and also oil pastels. Really loving this one. It was an experiment where I was layering my oil pastels and then going on top of them with watercolor to see what it does, and then going back again with oil pastels and then adding some acrylic, and it was really experimental and fun. And I'm loving how the paint dries with these gaps on top of the oil pastel. Like, it doesn't allow it to get in there, and it creates this super interesting effect. Again, playing with watercolor and oil pastels to create this interesting effect. Enjoying this a lot. And this one we're getting closer to the end. I was super unexcited about this one, and I kept pushing it and I wasn't knowing what I'm doing. Sometimes I work that way. I used collage papers, I used all kind of colors, but overall I'm kind of happy with how it ended up. And this one was done yesterday, yesterday. I wasn't feeling like painting, and I decided just to add some words in here, like demotivated and all kind of things. And then I just started playing with the shapes and filling things up, and now I really love this page. I think it's super cute. Loving the color palette and the shapes and the dots, really everything. And I have a lot of pages to go. So I'm super excited to finish this up. I hope it was inspiring to see.